Hi boys and girls! Today we're going to be talking about the artist Chuck Close. We can see here his self-portrait from 1997, which is an oil painting. Chuck Close is a portrait artist, and here we see a portrait of someone named Phil. Now this was a watercolor portrait from 1977, and you can see, as in the big blown up section over here, that it's made up of little squares. It's almost like a pixelated kind of look, and those little spaces in between squares are what really started to interest Chuck Close. Here we see him with one of his paintings. He is still alive and working today. And after he had his wheelchair accident, he said, "I had to recover enough to paint. There is nothing else I can do. There is nothing else I want to do." Painting was Chuck Close's life and still is. Here we can see him working on one of his paintings, and we're noticing a lot of abstract shapes within each of the gridded squares. So none of his portraits are traditional. They are all paintings of faces, and the overwhelming detail in the faces forces us to think not about the subject, but about how the painting was made. Chuck Close says that there's a real joy in putting these little marks together. They may look like hot dogs, but with them I build a painting. And that's referring to all the little shapes that you can see. So again, here's a close-up of one of his paintings. And you can see how each little shape has detail. And here is another self-portrait of Chuck Close and a closer view. So today, when we go to our Google Classroom, we're going to go to Classwork, we're going to go to Chuck Close Selfies, View Assignment, hit the Add or Create button, and come all the way down to Drawings. Now, you might be wondering why I said a selfie. Well, selfie is actually short for self-portrait. So we're going to be creating our self-portrait in the style of Chuck Close. So the first thing you're going to need to do is take a selfie. So you can either use one that you've already taken before, or you can take one on your Chromebook and just load it into here. I'm going to use one that I already have. So here we have a selfie of me. Now, right now, there's a lot of empty space up here and my face isn't very big. So I'm going to come up here to this crop image tool, and you can see it made these black lines. Now I can take these black lines and crop my image so that it's nice and close to my face, and we're going to get a good platform to work from. So all I did was I hit the enter button and it cropped it, and now I'm going to make it nice and big, and I have a face I can start working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my shape tools. I'm going to use my rectangle, and I'm actually just going to cover my face in the rectangle as close as I can get it. Now, you might be saying to yourself, "Mrs. Burke, why did you just cover your whole face?" Well, I'm about to show you why. So what I'm going to do, oops, let me turn that a little bit. And so I'm just turning it to try to line it up with my face as best as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the fill color, and I'm actually going to use this transparent button. That transparent button, as you can see, is going to make it so that I just have some lines there. There's no longer a color inside my square. Now I'm going to use my line tool, and I'm going to fill in my square with lines from one side all the way down to the other. And when I have one I like, I can go ahead and click Control D for duplicate and just make a couple more of those because I know it'll be the correct size. So I've got my vertical lines done, and now I'm going to make horizontal lines to make a grid. So again, I'm going to come back over to my line tool, and I'm going to make my horizontal lines and duplicate those. Whoops, I made a little mistake. That is okay. So I've got all of my horizontal lines done, and then it's going to be time to choose a shape that you want to use as your fill-in. So you can choose any shape that you want. You can see in my main example that I had used that kind of double triangle type shape. Here, I think I am going to go ahead and choose this kind of like Pac-Man looking shape. So right now, as you can see, it is filled in again, and we don't want it filled in, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up and I'm going to hit transparent, but then I want to change the color of that line. So what I'm going to go to my border color, and I'm going to pick a color that kind of looks like it could be like blended in with my face just a little bit. And now that's a really, really thin line. So I'm going to come up here to my border weight tool, and I'm going to hit 4, maybe even 8. And it just makes it a little bit thicker. Now I can use that and I can duplicate it. And I'm just going to fill those in different squares. I think I'm going to make like a grid pattern of colors. This, again, is however you want to do it. So there's a lot of creative choices that you get to make in this project. So I shouldn't see any like exact copies of mine. They should all be unique and different. I'm going to put them all over. And then when you're done with this, I would do the same thing, maybe with a different color. And then I can go and add details onto my eyes and my lips to make it pop out even more. So you can see here, if I was done, I could duplicate that again. And then what I would do is change the color. And now I can start duplicating it as that color. Oh, that color is kind of dark. I don't know if I like that. I like that one more. So now I can duplicate that as the different color and line that and fill it back in. Okay. Oops, I grabbed that wrong. Don't be afraid to use your undo button. You can do that by either hitting Control Z or this little undo over here. And so I'll have my whole face covered, and that'll be my Chuck Close project. I'm going to stop here just so that this video doesn't get too long. You can check my example in the directions for more details. And when you're done, remember to come back and hit the Turn It In button. That'll automatically share it with me, and I will be able to grade your work. I can't wait to see what your Chuck Close inspired selfies look like. Have fun!